All right. Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode on the podcast of All Around Sorare. Obviously, I'm joined by the boys. There is no Ellis, but there is a new face. As you can see, Detroit bad boy on his first ever podcast. How are we, lads?
I'm all good.
Fantastic. How are we, Jonesy?
I am fine. It's been a big day for updates, right? So we're gonna discuss that later on. Well, in about 5 minutes time. But welcome to the podcast, Kobe, our new addition.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here.
As you can see, we are missing a face. Good old Ellis. He is on his 25th holiday this week, so we wish him well and hope he's all right. No, but all jokes aside, yeah, he will be with us again very soon, hopefully. But yeah, guys, I think we should just jump straight into it. I'm sure the viewers don't care about how we are, so let's just get straight into it. All right, so I've got on screen, obviously Spotify users, and you won't see this, but you on YouTube will see that we got the gameplay update. So we're going to try go through this as rigorously as we can. Yeah, so let's just get into it. So what are our first thoughts then, lads? Has any of you got any pros or cons about it? Because obviously for me, I'm still sort of soaking it up, but I want to hear your point of views.
Jonesy was super critical, so we'll let him go first.
And
Start with the bad, end with the good.
Yeah.
When we go through it, when we scroll through it and we talk about it, I'll tell you what's good and what's bad. From what I've gathered, or from what I'm guessing about. I can only make predictions. They've not released the whole thing yet. February we get the full like whack of what's going on. So we can only speculate at the moment, right?
Pretty much.
Good.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you want to take us into, obviously, we'll go to the first bit. We won't go through it all because we'll be here for ages otherwise. But we'll go through the main pointers, which obviously the new MLS is back, dedicated own competition. How are we feeling about this then? Because I, for one, I think it's quite good, just off face value. But it really depends on those in-season prices, I think. But yeah, what do you guys think?
I think it's very good. No, it's going to be, again, it's all going to be dependent on what they release in February, but having its own competition seems like the right way to go about it. I remember saying on one of Kobe's streams that they should make it into its own comp. Getting rid of Challenger for summer as well is fine. Moving Brazil into contender is okay. I don't think there's many covered Brazilian teams anyway to make a dint really. But yeah, we'll read through it in a second. But what do you think about the new beat the game mode?
I mean, we've had snippets of it in the past, right? Like, I wasn't the biggest fan because it kind of is a bit unrewarding. Where you're like, oh, shoot for the stars, and then if you don't hit that, you're like, SOL, you get nothing from it. And then if you pick something low, and what happens if you did pick the best lineup and you would have finished first overall? Like, I just, for that one, it just doesn't entice me the way that the MLS League itself does. I think that's great. I'm excited for it, especially if they can reflect how Bundesliga is, how Premier League is. I don't think it will have the cash payout that those two leagues do, but I mean, even some is better than none in the past. Having to go through MLS cards versus a PSV stack like last year, at that point, you might as well not even buy the cards. So I think this is a W.
Yeah, true. The beat the game mode, it could go one of two ways. They're going to make it 3 tiers where I believe that you don't have to pick a target anymore, Kobe. I think you can just put a team in and whatever it hits, you get. But that could mean something bad because if they don't make it cash is the 3 tiers, and they make it something like cash for like 450 points, and then 400 points you get like essence, and then 350 you get level up boost. That's no one's going to really be interested.
Yeah, is that speculation or that you know?
That's speculation.
Someone confirm that?
I've not seen anyone confirm it. We won't know that until February again, when we'll probably have to do another one of these to talk about what actually happened. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But from what I've read and people speculating around, that's it's not going to be cash. If it is, then that's great. You know, you could come third in the competition, Kobe, and then you get an extra $100 on top because you hit the threshold as well.
Huge.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with Jonesy. To be fair, it can go one of two ways. Obviously, it's like it can be a big W if it's cash, ETH, or whatever it be. because I mean, if you think about like realistically, it says to ends obviously to beat the game. It says here, if I can show viewers on the screen, if I can find it, that you need 5 MLS in-season cards. Whereas obviously beforehand, it was always you can have the classic to sort of go with it. Now, that's going to obviously make the point of entry a lot higher because obviously we know typically classic goalkeepers are being used because they're typically like half the price, if not 25%. But now you need all 5. So how much are we thinking is going to set us back a rare in-season MLS goalie? Do you think, Kobe?
Hey, that's your guys' realm. The whole rare side. That's where I stay away. Stay far from that. But I mean, we looked in the past, like limited. It's been what the average for a goalkeeper is $100 and some dollars. So you're
Yeah.
thinking rare used to be like 2.5x on that. So
Mm.
you're talking. But the problem is with goalkeepers too is scores, especially in MLS. It's very few and far between that are good goalkeepers. So the majority are putting up 30s and 40s for you, and you're paying $300-$400 for someone who can do that.
Yeah.
I'd rather buy an in-season Cucho rare for $300-$400 than and roll the dice with a backup goalkeeper, take my 0 and run that. But obviously we've seen that now with how dominated it is on the leaderboard, that method doesn't work. It used to be a philosophy you could do. In the days when I first joined Sorare back in 2022, you could actually get rewards for 4 players in the lineup. These
Yeah.
days, DNPs, instant killers.
Yep.
Like it's over as soon as one player doesn't play or is a bench, it's over. You can't compete.
Yeah.
Something I've just read here, I just reread while you were talking through the beat the game mode bit, and I think what I speculated of it being 3 tiers and it might not all be cash, I think I was wrong because it says here line up 5 in-season MLS cards, and they will compete in the leaderboard for prize pools, but also unlock the chance at additional cash rewards. So it doesn't state anything about it there being any boosts in there or essence. And it says in the beat the game mode, in the beat the game threshold mode, it also says this means your lineup can win prizes 2 ways by performing on the leaderboard and hitting points targets. And then it goes on to say that obviously if you have a classic card in there, you don't get the threshold thing, but it does say you go on the leaderboard for cash, essence, and XP. So I think the actual beat the game mode will just be cash then. Reading it like that anyway.
Yeah, it's got to be though. Like I said, with the point of entry, it's going to have to entice people to go in somehow. If it's going to just be, because we've heard from Sorare many a times where they'd be like, oh, more rewards and more chances of winning this, that, and the other. But it's always been the boxes, which have been completely nerfed from the first time round they released them, and then you've got obviously the boosts, which are null and void now because they got the XP coming in, the new XP system. Now they want to swap that with XP. So it's like, I don't know, it just feels like they're replacing same shit, different smell, is what I say. Yeah, so it's just the same thing, it's the same shit, it does the same thing, it's just named differently.
Do you know what would be crazy, guys? If they went, they put threshold game mode, now that instantly says to be cap 240. Imagine if they actually put a cap on your team, but it's in the same game mode as a game mode with no cap. It's not a separate game; it's in the MLS in season. So it's 2 game modes in one. But you might have to put in a team that's like under like 270 points, and then you've got somebody there like Kobe that just runs with a full Columbus stack. It's like 400 points.
Listen, if they honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they reverted back to something like that. I think when you looked at what was like that cap 240, that was like their bread and butter to start,
Yeah, that was
right?
the best game mode.
And now they talked about moving away from that, but I mean, we've seen with all these gameplay releases, I would not be shocked if they brought something back like that.
It's probably needed to keep the attention of the older users, people that played cap modes previously. I think they're losing a lot of their like already established player base, and I don't think they're pulling in enough people for like new users to compensate it.
See, and that's what I was saying to you before we threw this up is that, and trust me, obviously I'm one of the biggest supporters of Sorare and streaming and everything that I put on X. But the problem is, the new members is not that number is not increasing. And I think for them, they thought that that was going to be like year over year, we're going to double, triple, get more and more. And now it's like we're kind of plateauing. We're not gaining as many people. And for however many they're probably gaining, they're probably losing. People are leaving the platforms. I see all the time people selling their galleries, which, I mean, you can take it as you want. But for me, it's kind of like, I think that's why they have to pivot so often with these new gameplays and new methods and how they provide essence and XP is because they can't distribute all this cash because they don't have enough people buying. And one thing we definitely should talk about, maybe we can't talk about on this episode, but I got to tell you, I swear to God, there's got to be bots on the auction site. No, I mean, I feel like I buy more than anybody. And every time I'm in there, you cannot find deals these days. I swear there's bots who are programmed to make sure these cards don't fall. And you can't get deals. Like in the old days, I felt like you could find a bargain, and be like, oh my gosh, this guy has 2 minutes left, and he's well under what you'd buy. And I know
Yeah.
you being the producer now, Jonesy, you're like, hey, cut this. We'll talk about
No,
it
no.
later. But I got to get this stuff off my chest because I'm trying to buy these guys before this game week. And I'm like,
I can
dude,
tell you why
who's-
that happens though. I'm sure you'd already joined by this point, but that happens because they introduced that you can bid to a certain amount. You used to be able to only just bid, like just a bid. So if a card was up at $1, the next bid would be 120. You could only bid the next bid, and then it would until you get outbid. That was your card. Now you can say this card's at $1. I'm going to bid it up to $5, and if it doesn't go up, I get it at whatever price between $1 and $5. That's why it changed, because people can go to bed and put the bids on before bed, and it would still go up, and they would still be winning the
I hear
card.
you, but I also think that they'd be foolish to not have bots that mod that auction. You know what I mean? Because like at any point, they can't afford for us to have major shifts in these card prices. If someone was buying, like, for example, let's talk right now, let's talk your team, an Erling Holland card. I don't know what his limited is these days, probably 60, 70, $80. But
Yeah.
if one slipped through the cracks at midnight and went through at $20, $30, and then that depreciates the value, everyone sees that you can get one, and then they're not buying, and then that market whole drops.
Yeah, but
I
it'll
know we're
never.
deviating from your script, so
It will never ever
I'll
do that
cut it.
though. It won't do that because
I don't know.
bots like Basselbot and Satonio and Sir Hiss can just put a bid on and say, right, well, I know this card. If I want to make $5 on it, I need to get it at $45 and sell it for 50. So they can just go $45 bid straight away.
But
And it'll just
We're gonna put another segment on your next episode list, and we're gonna talk about these bots because these bots have fallen off big time.
Well,
They
I
are
just,
falling
I don't even
off.
trade
I
with
just
them
want to
anymore.
say something beforehand because I actually don't like the bots at all. Right? I actually think they shouldn't be around. But anyway, that's a different story. But what I wanted to say was, I don't think bots should be able to bid for auctions anyway. I think it shouldn't be allowed to. The problem is obviously because they're automated as well. They'll bid to a certain percentage till they make money. Sometimes when you want to bid for a player, it's because you write that player and you have a certain amount of money or a certain amount of like a budget because you've not got a load of money to be able to spend. If you want to bid £2.50, £12.50 on that player, you're not able to now because Satonio, Basilbot bid to the absolute maximum where you can't make money or you can't have it at a decent price.
Yeah.
And they make more than enough money every single hour, day, minute to be able to not rely on auctions. So I do feel like it's a bit bang out of order that they can a bot. If you thought about this on FIFA, if you thought about this on any game, a bot to auction that intervenes into a live auction in any manner is cheating. So it shouldn't be something that should be allowed, in my opinion. But
you might remember this, Cap, but I said a long time ago that everybody should be capped at 100 auction wins a day. That would then stop the bots from winning everything, because once they won 100 cards off auction or 50 cards off auction, they then can't bid until the next day. And then that gives everybody else a chance to win the cards.
100's still a lot, though, as well. Like,
true, yeah.
Say, how many cards do you actually buy in a day? I mean, even 5.
Yeah, well,
I'd be like,
that's what I mean. Though that would
Yeah,
affect the
10.
box, but it wouldn't. That would affect the box, but it wouldn't affect normal players because no normal players really going out there buying 50 cards on auction a
But
day.
how about we just say no to bots and just let actual player base?
They won't do that because
just-
bots probably make up the vast majority of their auction wins. So you're taking money away from Sorare in that point of view.
Yeah, I know Sorare realistically would never do it.
They
Like,
keep the floors, so
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I think Sorare keep their own flaws with their buy it now auctions. I think they do it their own little subtle way. Like you'll never see. I mean, you can see at times sometimes a buy it now is a few pounds above, but basically it does sort of lay around that sort of average floor price. So it's not like substantial. So they do it in a way. They just obviously don't have an automated system like Sir Hiss and Basilbot. So they do it in their own
I see
sneaky
a
little
lot of
way.
these buy nows. They're cheaper than
Yeah,
90% of the people who are selling a card.
yeah,
And
they are.
they're taking away that whole secondary market, and that's troubling too.
Hmm.
You
There's
said
more
Jonesy was
incentive
the
to go
negative
for the
one.
buy
Kind
now
of
as
being a little
well.
negative.
There's more incentive to go for the buy now as well because you get more collection bonus. So not only is it cheaper, you're actually getting like a double whammy because you're getting the cheaper
Yeah.
card and it gives you collection bonus. But Cab, when it comes to the bots, I'm not a massive fan of the bots, but without the bots, we wouldn't have a game today. This so I would have
I
folded
just,
by now.
I
They'd
just,
have.
I just never been a big fan of them. I think even when like, I get what they're there for, and I understand that they're there to at the end of the day make money and whatever. But some of them just take the piss, and that's where I can't be bothered. You would try. Let's say you try to buy a £5 player, you give £7 worth of player back, they'll still ask for more, and it's just sometimes they just are. Yeah, just way too greedy for me liking. But yeah, I understand why they're there, of course. But
I think that's our fault though, as a player base, because I think people will just go, "Oh well," and just send them, and then they've realised that people will pay that sort of money, and now they can just do
yeah,
on the
but
constant.
now they've switched now. Like it isn't as simple as trading with a bot now. Like a bot in general, like if the player doesn't sell or hasn't had an average, like a recent average sale, they won't look at them. They'll sniff up at them
Yeah,
before they take anyone and everything. Beforehand, now it's like, oh, they have to have played their last 10 games out of 15 and sold 10 times in the last week to actually get a sniff at looking at them. So like they're not there
True.
anymore for a proper purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I used to trade with bots every day, and now
Mm,
it's like anytime you send a card, they don't want it, and then they'll
yeah,
send you a counter offer and ask you for more money than what they
yeah,
actually have it listed
yeah,
for.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, hold on. So it's like a bait and switch thing. So yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting. It's really frustrating because that used to be really good and kind of I thought was like um, a lifeline for So Rare because
mm,
it made it interesting. You could like work on trading up, getting rid of all these tier fives that you had and moving to a 4 to 3 to 2 to star. And now it's like you have anything that's below a tier 2, you can't even get 50% value for it if you
yeah,
trade with a bot.
yeah.
So
And don't even bother with like, yeah, you obviously your 30, 40p limiteds and your £2 rares. Like you're just gonna get nout, absolutely nothing. So
mhm.
they've changed a lot, and um, yeah, I think they started changing ever since the whole special cards stuff Sorare started doing. That's when I sort of noticed it when they just they don't really rate
What are you doing
anybody.
on timing?
I was
Doing all
just
right,
about to
Jonesy?
say after Cat finished his sentence, right? Let's move on to talking about the XP. just while we're on time.
True,
My
true.
Don't
internal
worry,
clock is going
Kobe.
off.
I'm a king producer. Don't worry, because I was going to lose my job there if Cat went on for another 5 minutes. So yeah,
I
we'll
was
move on
about
to
to take your job.
the. I don't. I've got it. I've got it covered, man. I've got it covered. You're still here. You're episode 1, and you're trying to come for my job. Unbelievable.
It's a
Yeah,
good supporting cast. I'm just keeping you on your feet.
the XP system pointless. Are we all agreed it's pointless? They might as well have just kept it the same.
Yeah, you're just reducing it by half. So
Would
instead
the
of 20 levels, it's now 10.
would
So
they have been better putting their time into fixing classic than doing something with the XP?
Of course.
classic is dead.
Right.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So would they have been better spending their time reviving classic than messing around with the XP system?
But why revive classic at this point in their eyes? Do you know what I mean? Like it's
They are. They are reviving classic, not till August. But would
yeah,
it have been
but
better if they'd have released this like now and focused on that than putting an XP system out that actually changes very little to do with the XP system?
I just like I said, I don't know what to say about it. It's the problem is we always lost my train of thought. We always have these like promises and these hopes. So to me, like, sort of forgive me, but I'm sort of losing hope that it's going to be fixed in any way in August as well. It's like, yeah, I'm not, it's a long time away as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's a
8
month or
months.
two away. Yeah, it's a long, long time. So, yeah.
Kirby Classic. I know you don't really play it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think we got bigger problems. They've realized that there is this new streamline where it's like, hey, every season release new cards, in season pay out cash, and for them now they can justify how they move year after year. And Classic has just been pushed further and further down to the wayside. And then you look at all the money they invested in Rivals, and now they're like, well, scrap that. We're done with this.
We'll get onto that.
And
We'll get onto that. We'll get onto
but it's like you look at this and it's like they release something, they invest in it, and like it's not working. And at least we can be happy knowing that it's the early years, I guess,
Yeah.
with Sorare where they're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. But what was really missing that I think could have been great was you looked at what they did over the summer with the Euros and the team competition style. I had friends who never played Sorare before who joined that Rivals team Euros thing, and they're like, dude, this is super cool. This is something where they could make it so simple. And you could have done that for Premier League. You could have made it specific towards that, made leaderboards with your teams, and incentivized people. And they neglected that. They kind of hinted at it because I definitely had a few likes from the CEO, the man himself, when I was like, this is where you should go. And he liked it and said soon to come and things like that. And I'm like, all right, now here we are a year later. And it's like, nah, actually, we're scrapping everything and starting fresh. So
I think it's just the constant.
I feel like I'm being.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, I think it's just the constant moving of the goalposts, isn't it? It's quite infuriating. I know after this update as well, like we'll wrap up in a sec for this segment, but I know there's been a lot of Sorare and unique players who are again annoyed because of again the divisions, which we can now talk about. Like I've just got on the screen here, obviously that they've boiled it down from 5 leagues to 3 in limited, 4 to 3 in rare, and then 3 to 1 in super rare, and 1 still in unique. Like, do you think that's going to make much of a difference? Do you think it's going to change the way you play or how anyone else plays this game in the future?
Probably not. They said it's going to introduce more rewards. I'm not. When they say that, do they mean we're just going to add level up boost to the bottom of it, and there's your more reward?
Yeah.
It was exactly what I was gonna say. You know what it is? It's like when they say it, it's always broad, right? Like, oh, well, there's more, but yeah, more what? And it's more crap, more thing. I mean, honestly, how many cards are in the FIFA database? 800, 900 plus. I tell you what, I feel like very rarely do I win a card these days. And the boxes don't hit like they used to. The essence threshold is completely changed. The whole system with dispersing your essence and trying to roll the dice to get something is very few and far between. Majority of the time, you get what you said, a few pennies worth of something that you've worked for months. And I'm a little torn right now because I posted it earlier today that I had 400 and something essence that I've been holding to roll for a tier 1. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah.
And it magically deleted. I have 35 essence, and it's showing me the NBA essence that I have, and I can't redeem my essence. And then I posted it, and then everyone was like, "Oh yeah, same thing happened to me." And then they're like, "Check your app," and it shows it right in the app. But I messaged Sorare support, and they're like, we don't see it. So someone on Twitter had an answer for me, but the support was like, refresh your browser. I was like, what? So I feel like even at corporate levels, sometimes, man, I wonder what the heck is going on over there. It's like they have a boardroom meeting, and someone's like, that's a brilliant idea. Let's scrap Cap 240. And then 3 months later, they're like, hey, I got a brilliant idea. Let's bring it back. And they're like, oh my God, it's genius. Like, I don't know what's going on over there. Sometimes I really sit and I'm like, man, bring the boys to headquarters and let's have a firm discussion because there's so much potential with this platform, but it's definitely the early years where they've got a lot to figure out.
When it comes to Essence, hear me out about this. Listen to me, right? This Essence will not exist this time next year.
You don't think Essence will be here?
I think it'll be gone. I think just like the club shop, just like Cap 240, just like Rivals, I think Essence, the workout that it doesn't work. They might even work it out by the end of the season. They might run out of cards. If they run out of cards.
Well, that's the thing. That's it too, right? Like, I don't know. It's just it's frustrating because you feel like you finally get your finger on the pulse and then it changes. So I understand when everyone else is like, well, you said you weren't going to change, and then here we are. And you said major changes come in August, but here we are in January. And I don't think a lot of people anticipated a lot of this stuff. So it's just like, what is the how do you feel secure when you're putting tens of thousands for some people, and those unique people, RIP, those funds are gone. You're never getting those back. Like the guys who are buying Mbappe's for 100 ETH those days. Can you find a unique buyer that would spend 10 ETH on a old Mbappe card these days? Probably not. Like that's worrisome, and I think that's the problem they have to figure out, because depreciation is worse than a freaking car these days. So
yeah, that's true. It's becoming harder to win, and it's becoming not more expensive because a lot of the cards are dropping in price, but it's wins are becoming more pointless unless you're winning cash. But just to flick through the last of the updates, because we have spent ages on this. Apparently they're revamping, improving reward quality. All I'm going to say on that is I doubt it. The next one is the Essence update. Again,
you said your piece on that.
Yeah, we've talked about Essence. They have said that you can no longer. What was it? I've read it here. Essence won't expire, so that's good. That's a good change, right? Your Essence isn't going to expire. So Kobe, if you don't win any more Essence till the end of the season, you'll still be able to carry it through to next season.
It'll just evaporate in the database somewhere. You just won't be able to use it. So.
Yeah, I'll do that. There's a crafting timeline now, so it says that there'll be a 2-week latency between the start of a European season and the opening of the card factory for relevant competitions. So that means that obviously for the first 2 weeks of any league being open, you won't be able to craft that league. So I
think that's fair.
I
kind of like that because there's a mess when you're crafting. You just talked about oversupply, and then if there's too much, demand goes down, cards prices go down, everyone's pissed again. Like, honestly, for the MLS competition, if we're gonna give financial advice, which we're probably not, but I'm gonna say something. I would err on the side of caution. I'd wait a month on that MLS competition. I'd sit it out, let everybody else try to get in, buy the Cuchos, buy the Messis, buy everybody else for, crazy amounts, and then come in a month later and you're buying it for a fraction for what everyone else bought it for.
I think
that's true.
I think from what I saw before, and we'll again switch off in a second, but from what I've seen with the video I'd done before about MLS players, there was always a trend that was hitting. It's like literally the in-season hits. It's it goes up like a rocket, but it comes down just as quickly as it goes up. So it's like I agree with what Kobe said. Is just allowing it to sort of plateau a bit, pick up some good cards. I think because the MLS there's so much hype because it's the only thing running really in that sort of time of the year. Whereas obviously all the Premier League, Liga and stuff are sort of coming to its end. So it's like I'd probably wait a month. It's probably the best time to jump in then. I don't think one-offs and kit mints are as important as they've been before, especially now that you can hold duplicates. So it's like, just let that sort of go off. But speaking about some more competitions,